So to the Brisbane Lions, finished 4th last year, 15 wins, 7 losses, but out in straight sets in the finals. What do you think they've taken from that final series and tried to fix over the summer?
I'm not a negative on the Lions. In the last 2 years they've lost 2 finals by 1 point and 3 points. That was 2 semi-finals, so they've been, and they were made the preliminary final. Now they're thereabouts. They got decimated last year. Their forward line. Joe Daniher was such a disappointment in the finals that he wasn't able to stand up when McStay went out and when Hipwood went out. Daniher couldn't get it done. But Daniher is a good player with the other 2 in the team with them. So Brisbane lost their forward structure going into the final series last year, which is a big blow. Harris Andrews carried a knee all last year. I thought Harris Andrews was the best key defender in the comp. He didn't show it last year. So I think they had some excuses, but it's a win-loss industry. They get to the finals. They went out in straight sets. They got tougher last year.
Yeah, they
got tougher.
Almost got there, I think, before their time a little bit. You look at the Brisbane Lions profile, the age demographic of their list. Jared Lyons is really the only player that you think he's been there, he's done it, he's probably on the wrong side of his prime. Everyone else is either in a growth phase, improvement phase, or they're in their prime. Players like Zorko and Lachie Neale and these blokes. So I would expect them to continue to grow. You spoke about the riders on their form, you know, the injuries to key personnel. Cam Rayner's a big one. He comes back into that lineup. We know
flying
a
apparently.
lot of
Really?
Zach Bailey, I think, is a star of the competition in the making. So
he has to go through the middle. So there's not criticism of Brisbane. You look at Brisbane a bit of the same. They need more speed in the midfield. Neale's a good player, great player. Lyons, really good player. McCluggage, one pace, really good player. Berry, one pace, really good player. They need Bailey to really become a 70-30, I reckon, midfield forward rather than
and I think that'll happen.
30-70.
And I think that's where the improvement comes from for Brisbane. The one in terms of the finals, they lose that final with expected scores against the Bulldogs. They should have won by 3 goals. So accuracy really hurt them in the finals last year. So I think they walk away from the last 2 seasons with belief that they are right.
They are that close.
Their window is wide open for a long period of time. Yeah. Just the last part of the season, to around 15 to 23, their defensive profile was poor. So I still think there is an opportunity for them to really tighten up that part of their game because 90% of premiers over the last 10 years have had a really strong defensive profile. Brisbane weren't quite there in the latter part of the season.
Yeah, they got opened up, didn't they? Well, you look at their last 3 years, every final they've lost is to the potential grand finalists. So 19, they lose to Richmond GWS, 2 grand finalists. 2020, they lose to Geelong, grand finalists. Last year, they lose to Melbourne Western Bulldogs, grand finalists. So I think the messaging over pre-season from Fagan and the coaches are, hey, we are still right in it.
Absolutely.
We touched on him before. I think Dan McStay is their, bar Harris Andrews, probably their most important player. And you look how their forward line structure's up and the stats around that and the win-loss columns when McStay's there and you speak to people around Brisbane, he's the one that anchors everybody. You know, McStay, Daniher likes to get up the ground, Hipwood likes to get up the ground. McStay's that probably their best one-on-one forward if he gets himself deep and allows those other 2 guys to get up. I think he's absolutely vital to the way they perform. My question is with their midfield, and quite often we get drawn into the numbers when players have got ball in hand and what they're doing with it and how they're accumulating possessions. The inclusion, I think, of Cameron Bruce, who has been at Hawthorn, who has just left Carlton, who has gone up there as a midfield coach, to hopefully keep these guys accountable. I think everything centre forward, they're great.
You think they're not
when they got opened up in the finals, I think there was question marks over how much they wanted to run the other way.
That's the missing link. That's the challenge for Fagan. We saw the way Melbourne bought into team defence. Brisbane need to do that. That's the little missing link when come September, when it's all the little 1%, all those fine degrees that you're relying on, they let themselves down at times.
So our verdict for the Lions this year?
Oh, top 4 for me.
Top 2.
Yeah, what did I say? Yeah, I said 5th, so they'll be around the mark.
So 5th.
Yep. There you go.